This is Driving Solutions, exclusively on CBTNews.com.
Hi everyone, I'm Cheyenne Malone. Despite the embrace of digital platforms, many dealers find themselves falling short of anticipated results. And today we're taking a look at the factors contributing to this and solutions that can even help. Joining us to talk more about this topic, Aaron Bickart, Executive Vice President and General Manager of Offerlogix, and we have David Spisak, the CEO of Disruptive Growth Solutions. Welcome, gentlemen, to the show. Glad to have you both.
Yeah, thanks, Cheyenne, for having us. We're looking forward to
Good to be here.
To you.
Yes, glad to have you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the current auto world when it comes to online pricing. And both of you guys can kind of chime in as I ask some of these questions. Before the pandemic, less than 50% of the dealers had digital retailing. Post-pandemic, nearly 100% of them do, but a few of them seem to be seeing the results that they expected. Why is that? And we'll start with David.
Well, it's a great question. I remember I was involved with NCM NCM had done actually some research that showed up under 50%, as you stated, had DR or was even considering DR before the pandemic. And then once it hit, within 6 weeks later, 94% either said, I have it, I'm getting it, and there's only 4%, believe it or not, dealers said, yeah, I don't think that we need to have that ever. I'm guessing those dealers may or may not be around anymore. But the crazy thing is that they all jumped on that bandwagon because they thought at that time they needed to make that shift, right? Accelerate towards the shift of allowing people to buy cars online and making it easy. But we just didn't ever see the results of that. And I think there's a number of factors. Number one, I think that it caused some confusion. It was really the colliding of two worlds, if you think about it. It's like an Austin Powers movie, in that, when somebody was offline, they're doing business the way they had always done it. When somebody went online, it was fast, simple, easy, transparent, everything that clients today want. But they would start the process there, walk into the dealership, not necessarily get the same price in the store as they got online, or even the same information. And so you had these worlds colliding. That also caused some confusion for customers. And when there's confusion, there's a lack of trust that happens. The other thing that I think is really important to point out is most dealerships have 4, 5, 6 solutions or more. That great intentions are firing out marketing messages during the course of the month. Well, imagine if you got 6 different messages from my store and not one of the 6 had the same payment for the identical car. Well, again, that causes friction, it causes confusion, and you're going to say, I don't know if these guys know what they're doing, but I don't trust. Something makes me not trust and feel comfortable to move forward. So that's I think those are a couple big things that have contributed.
And Dave, for me to capitalize on what you're saying there, and the reasons why a lot of dealerships did not have digital retailing was because they didn't want to provide payments. They didn't want to provide pricing to the consumers until they actually got into the store. And then when the pandemic hit, everyone was like, oh my goodness, we have no showroom traffic, the world's ending, and we still got to sell cars to keep our roof, our pay our rents and pay our floor planning and do whatever it is they need to do. So what happened was all these digital retailing platforms started coming out, but really at the end of the day, no one knew which digital retailing platform to sign up for. So some of the companies out there had some head starts, and then some of them came to the party late. But reality is what David was talking about was friction. At the beginning, every consumer that we know of, and we call it the ultimate customer experience at the end of the day, was the friction that consumers had with buying a car, as was pretty bad, back in back 10, 15, 20 years ago. But now today's consumers know more about the payments that they currently today than they know, and they know about the safety ratings of vehicles, and more things are done online. I mean, think about this for a second. Amazon has changed our lives forever, and Amazon has reduced the friction of buying things online, and we get things delivered within 2-3 hours, and that is the experience that we need to bring to the consumer today out there in the marketplace. But reality is friction needs to be limited, and we need to have what David was saying, instead of 6 marketing companies, we need to have one marketing company and a unified message across all mediums of advertising.
And it comes to online too. I mean, it's all about convenience. Really, at the end of the day, time is money, right? So you're right. Amazon comes out, and now everybody wants to buy everything online.
Well, Amazon has actually, just one last thing, Amazon, if you think about it, once any human being experiences a superior approach to doing something, they will never go back to the old way. Think about that psychologically. So once they experienced Amazon, once they experienced Instacart, once they experienced any of these newer, faster, how many people stand in line in the bank to deposit their check today?
Nobody.
If you look 4 years ago, there'd be 50 people online on a payday. Today, there's nobody. Why? Because once you deposit it into the using your phone,
Yep.
and I don't have to go down there. Nobody wanted to go down there. But imagine if your phone allowed you to deposit the check, take the picture, put the amount, hit submit, and then the screen said, okay, you've completed this process, just bring your check by the nearest branch.
That's right.
Would you ever use that process again? No. Well, that's what DR is. It's allowing me to start but not finish. If you can't deliver a payment that's reliable, you can't allow me to be in a position to make a decision. So what I've always said with DR, unfortunately, until you solve what Offerlogix, I believe, has brought to the table, all we've done is created a new lead gen system, and we have figured out how to piss people off digitally instead of frustrating and pissing them off in the showroom floor.
That's right.
Well, then because it then becomes an expectation, right?
Yeah.
Because it was a perk at one time, a premium, and you could do this, and now it's like, all right, well, now that I've experienced it, that's where my bar is set. I want to keep it at that level.
That's
If
right.
I get anything less than, it's not good enough.
That's right.
When you talk about dealer groups that are succeeding within that digital retail marketing environment, what are they doing? What are some things that are helping
Well,
them
first of all, it's
succeed?
training. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, think about this for a second. We all need to be trained, right? Because just like David said, you know, when you're doing a check, online, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Ally, whoever you're depositing that check through, you take that snap. We've all been trained how to do it. The first time you did it walked you through, here's the steps, right? Here's the pictures and everything. But that's where we need to go to is back to fundamentals. The car business is back to, high inventory, high interest rates. We now have to have grit to sell vehicles. There's a lot more competition. EVs are here, hybrids are here, and we also have the ICE vehicles here too as well. So we have to go back to training, and training is online. Most of the consumers that you see today are online buying a vehicle. 84 to 85% of us are online looking for something all the time. And once in a while we go on and we say, oh, you know what? Here's a Subaru, Ascent, and we can buy this for $650 a month, with $2,500 down. But now when the consumer walks into the dealership and says, hey, I want to buy that Subaru for $650, what's the process that happens? The process is broken. So we need to go back to the fundamentals of training our dealerships on how to sell cars again in service vehicles. But let's just talk about sales. And the DR solution needs to be part of the whole process. What do you think about that, Dave, on that part?
Yeah, I totally agree. Think about how preposterous it is. I mean, it's so hyper competitive already in selling cars, right? And it used to be that my competition, I've been in this business for well over 40 years. My competition used to be the dealership down the street, across the street, and so forth. My competition today is anywhere where somebody can access it from this phone. Is that true?
Yes.
So,
yeah, all over.
right, anywhere, right? Somebody's going to deliver something. Somebody's willing to send me a car from anywhere, right? I haven't bought a car from a dealership, going down there in a long time. For at least 10 plus years, they just show up at my door, because they've got this great process where I buy my cars. It's in Newport Beach, but at Fletcher Jones is a great store. But think about this. It's already hard enough, competitive enough to buy cars. Why would you want to add one more competitor if you're a dealer trying to sell cars or a salesperson? And here's the worst news. What if that one competitor was you?
Yeah.
Because you actually are online, and that person's going online in some kind of a dysfunctional process, or it's not a smooth process, like you said, and it causes friction and unrest and concern. Then who are they going to go to? They're going to go to your store, right? And they say, well, have you looked at the car anywhere else? Yeah, I looked at it with you.
That's right.
Online. And the other you told me I could do this. But you is telling me I can only do this. They told me I was approved. You're telling me I'm only qualified. It's like, what is the madness of turning ourselves into competition, right? And it's worse because that's a competitor we're not going to win against. So I think that it's super important to be able to, not just the unified voice, which is tremendously important, but also just allowing me to get the information I need in order to do what you want, which is to make a favorable decision by buying a car from you.
Yeah, and if you take on top of that, what Dave was saying is, think about all the competition on your cell phone. I mean, today, you have all these marketplaces. I mean, I know you have the big three like Cars, Auto Trader, as well as Car Gurus, but there's the other ones out there, iHeartRadio, Walmart, they all have them. And right there on your spot, you can see all the different vehicles, see all the different information, and have any of these cars delivered. I mean, Carvana, as you know, came out, during COVID, and we all know what happened with Carvana. But we realized that Carvana was a good practice, that the customers need to get the cars delivered and be able to buy the vehicles online. So what Dave is saying is correct. I mean, your competition is not the dealership 10 miles down the street from you, or the other Honda dealership, 10 miles down this way, or another Chevy store 5 miles down this way. It's everybody. So reality is DR needs to be here, and we have to figure out the training and the process of how to keep that going.
And I'm curious to know, where do you guys see the car buying process in general in the future? Where would you like to see it go? Where do you see it heading? We talked about Amazon. Now you can Zelle me money with my phone number. I mean, where do you see this going?
I'm not selling you money. Don't even ask. I'm not selling you money.
You can sell me some money. I'll take the money. He has plenty of money. I'm just learning. I'm still polishing David's shoes. So at the end of the day,
hey, listen, we need to continue to evolve and iterate, right? Because the one thing we cannot do is to feel like we arrived. Yes. Anybody who's highly successful in life or successful in business knows the one thing you must continue to do is evolve, iterate, reinvent, right? Because the world continues to change around us, the landscape's changing, competition's changing. And most importantly, at the end of the day, who rules the day? It's the consumers, right? We could all sit in dealerships and say, hey, I think we need to do this or we need to do that. But here's the thing, and this is what I love about what you are talking about, Aaron, and what Offerlogix is doing. Offerlogix is saying, yeah, go ahead and have all the meetings you want to have. We're just going to solve the challenge that the customer said they want solved. So at the end of the day, we need to continue to iterate until we find a way to, I don't know, if we say we're going to digitally retail something, shouldn't you be able to digitally retail me that actual product? If I go onto Amazon, like you said, buy a book, select products, and then I have to drive 5 miles to a warehouse to pick them up, that's not DR. DR is, it allows me to go online, research, shop, select, fine tune, figure out what's the right payment for me, and then I can actually buy that car. Now, there are natural obstacles, real obstacles, for example, wet signatures, as we know, certain state regulations, but we just have to continue to do two things. Keep working towards that end, and ultimately we have to do what the consumers want. They want fast, simple, easy, transparent, trustworthy, and if we're not providing that through our site because we do have this payment friction or this payment uncertainty, or friction caused by multiple marketers, then we're actually moving away from what the consumer wants. Well, the funny thing is, the minute I move away from what they want, I'm also moving away from what I want, which is to sell more cars and make more money, because the bottom line is the bottom line. And the bottom line here is we got to take care of customers.
That's right. Yeah, that's why we call it the ultimate customer experience at the end of the day. But reality is, and I'm going to capitalize on what you just said, David. One thing that we do is we kind of do our own studies, right? And people are like, well, how do you have your own studies? Like, what do you do exactly at Offerlogix? I said, well, I travel a lot. And everyone always says, well, where do you sit? I said, I sit in the middle seat. And they're like, why do you sit in the middle seat on a plane? I said, because I like to interview the customers right at the end of the day. So, people always want to talk on planes half the time.
Well, I will not fly with them.
Right? So David won't fly with me. But I sit in the middle seats on purpose so that I can reverse engineer what we're coming out with at Offerlogix. In reality is, in Offerlogix, we are now coming out with a new solution. One of the things that consumers have been telling me is that they can't go to one place and find all the inventory for the whole United States or their local market, and be able to figure out all the rebates and incentives that are coming back in abundance because of, COVID is now over and it's hard to sell cars. So we have now integrated all the inventory throughout the United States, and now we're able to provide rebates and incentives, all the subvented rates, and be able to provide a penny perfect payment and also a credit perfect payment based on that consumer's credit. And we're now able to sell that to the channel partners that ultimately serve the dealers, and the dealers that ultimately serve the ultimate customer experience at the end of the day. So now everything is a unified message with one inventory stream, with all the payments completely integrated across. And that's where I see it coming with digital retailing. But not only digital retailing, but it all starts with the email or the lead that comes in, and then also online too as well, and then offline. Because a lot of time offline, when the customer comes in the store, is also digital retailing. It's just in the store. The customer already did the research, but they have to be able to marry it together too as well.
Makes sense. Final thoughts for us, David.
Well, one thing I should say right off the bat, just for full transparency, I don't work with Offerlogix. I get no compensation from Offerlogix. I always feel like one of those pharmaceutical commercials where, it's not an actual patient and they're, they're on the take there. So I don't work with it. I just like what they do. I love what they do because they're solving a problem. And I think, life is likely to continue to become more complex, more complicated, harder in our business for the foreseeable future. Why? Well, because I don't know. I don't suspect that we're going to have another 100-year pandemic. I suspect we've learned our lesson on chip shortages and supply chain. So that's probably not going to replicate anytime soon. And I suspect that OEMs are going to continue to have to throttle up the production so they can pay for their assembly plants and meet their own numbers. That means, ladies and gentlemen, we've got cars and we've got lots of them. We've got close to a 90-day supply we're coming up to in new cars, and we've got to have a way to buy them. And how you do that is make it easy. Make it as fast, simple, and easy for me to give you money. That's what it comes down to.
That's right.
And a great place to start is by giving me great information and a seamless process. So I love what you guys are doing, Aaron. I've known Aaron for a long time, and wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you.
I love this.
Yeah,
A great answer. Any final thoughts from you, Aaron?
No, I agree with David. He does not work for us or paid or anything on that, so I just want to make sure on that. But at the end of the day...
Should be.
You can sell me and we'll settle this right now. I'm the middleman.
I'll pass it through like everything else I do in life. But no, at the end of the day, we need to keep evolving. It's about the consumer at the end of the day. And the consumers drives our behavior, and it's about personalization at the end of the day. If it's not personalized, none of us want to work with that particular dealership, OEM, or whatever it is. Just like we do in banking, everything is, as consumer, is personalized today, and we got to keep evolving at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, we got to keep providing penny perfect payments.
Yes, I'll take it. It's all about the bottom line, like you said there too. All right, Aaron Bickart, Executive Vice President and General Manager of Offerlogix, and David Spisak, the founder and CEO
Nailed
of
it.
What is it?
You nailed it, he said.
You nailed it.
Well, thank you. The founder and CEO of Disruptive Growth Solutions. Thanks so much, gentlemen, for your time today and all of your insight. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Great to be with you. Thanks so much.
Thanks for watching Driving Solutions, exclusively on CBTnews.com.